It's always so exciting to add to this lovely group of women. And I'm thrilled to once again have the opportunity to introduce to you our newest class who are entering the Academy of Women Achievers. Our first honoree today is Lois Cornell, and she is the Chief Administrative Officer and General Counsel for Tufts Health Plan, where she oversees legal compliance, public policy, human resources, corporate communications, and public relations functions. At Tufts, Lois has made diversity and inclusion a top priority, leveraging a diverse workforce to maximize the company's ability to meet the needs of the diverse communities that it serves. Lois also leads mentoring efforts within and outside the organization. Please give me a warm round of applause for our first inductee today, Lois Cornell. Lois?
To get those logistics figured out. Thank you so much, Liz. I really appreciate it. It is such an honor to receive this award today from the YW Boston. And in the company of such amazing women, Helen, Drinan, Jackie Glenn, Nancy Steger, and Sandra Urie, congratulations to you all. I'm fortunate to have spent over 20 years working at Tufts Health Plan, something that does not happen these days, I don't think, to folks. And it's such a great company that has made developing women in our workforce a real priority. Prior to my current position, I worked at a law firm in Boston, a firm in which there were many more men than women in the meetings that I attended and in the boardrooms I entered, and in the firm's leadership ranks. So in my transition to healthcare, I was struck by the number of women that were in the field, and particularly at Tufts Health Plan. It was definitely a draw for me, and during my career at Tufts Health Plan, I've eagerly encountered and encouraged and sought to develop the strong and talented women with whom I work. We all know that this kind of encouragement, one by one, can really make a difference in the career paths and success of women. Many of us in this room have benefited from that kind of support and encouragement throughout our lives. When I was in elementary school, I had a gym teacher who made all that difference for me. I really wanted to master the skills needed for and to achieve the Presidential Physical Fitness Award. I hear people laughing. It was something that was a big deal in those days. It required me to demonstrate my skills in a number of different categories, and one of them was running. But I wasn't a runner, and it was really hard for me. So day after day, my gym teacher stayed after school with me, and he paced me around the track, and he taught me and showed me how to breathe. He challenged me, and he told me I could do it if I learned the skills, and I worked at it, and that he'd show me the way. But most of all, he convinced me I could do it. In those days, not many girls in my school received the Presidential Physical Fitness Award, and I'm sure I wouldn't have succeeded if not for my gym teacher's steady encouragement and strong belief that nurtured my confidence. Because of his influence, I made it around the track in record time, for me, and I earned the Presidential Physical Fitness Award. Oh. Thank you. So we are all surrounded by opportunities to encourage women in our workplace, in our communities, and in our places of worship. Many of you are already doing so, but I hope you'll make it a point to pause and think about lending your guidance and support to help the women with whom you work by being aware and available in small ways. We can make a huge difference in the lives of talented women, women who might be wavering or feeling a bit uncertain. If we all commit to boosting and encouraging one woman, it will make a difference. It will be impactful. I'm grateful to those who have encouraged me, my family and parents, my colleagues, and my friends at Tufts Health Plan, a number of whom are here today. My husband, Link, who has always been cheering me on, and my 2 children, Ben and Annie. Without their support and encouragement, I wouldn't be where I am, and I may have settled for less. Annie is here with me today, and as she begins her career in a male-dominated field of engineering, I see many opportunities for her ahead, and I am so grateful to those who are taking the time to challenge, to guide, and to encourage her. Let's honor the people who supported us by caring and believing in women today, women like my Annie, so that they can achieve their goals and reach their dreams. Thank you.
You know, each one of us can go home and think about an Annie, whether it's a biological daughter or a sister's daughter or someone that we can all support to help be the change in the world. So think about that as you leave today. Wonderful thoughts, Lois. Thank you. Our next honoree today is not a stranger to many of us in this community, Helen Drinan. A lot of Simmons folks here. Helen serves as the president of Simmons College and chair of the Simmons College Board of Trustees. And she has helped to bring 6 programs to Simmons through the U.S. Department of State and Wilson Center, all emphasizing women's education, leadership, and success. Helen is a member of the Advisory Council of the Women in Public Service Project, 2020 Women on Boards, the Massachusetts Women's Forum, and the Mount Holyoke College Board of Trustees. Please give me a warm congratulatory round of applause for Helen Drinan. Hashtag YWCAWA. Come on up.
Thank you all for the kindness of this recognition. I imagine I am not alone among today's honorees when I say that I have never forgotten the simple place from which I came, nor the many people who have befriended me and supported me along every year of my life's journey. I'm sure we all feel the same way about that. Service organizations like the YWCA are so much a part of the fabric of our country that we can easily make the mistake of taking their enormous contributions for granted. And yet it is true that our tradition of service to our communities has been a wonderful example to societies outside our borders for generations. My first significant service experience was my service with my husband David and our children for nearly 3 years, when we served as one of only 30 American families to ever do so in the Peace Corps. Assigned to the Republic of the Philippines in Southeast Asia, we maintained the same standard of living as the Filipino professionals with whom we worked, who were all teachers and healthcare providers. We learned to speak the local dialect. We contended with public health problems totally unseen by most of us in our lives every day, and grew to be very comfortable in a culture quite different from our own. The work was hard, but satisfying, very much like the work that is done every single day here in Boston by the YWCA. We worked with children in the public school system, introducing new ways to teach and to learn. We cared for the young of the incarcerated and sick in our regional prison and hospital, loving as much as we could those little ones virtually orphaned by the status of their unavailable parents and cruel inheritance laws. We trained community healthcare workers to expand basic medical care in remote areas of this beautifully diverse island nation. And we supported the development of modern productivity measures in small fishing cooperatives. Our efforts in the aggregate amounted to the work for social and economic justice, which characterizes the YWCA today here in Boston. As I look back over my life, I see my Peace Corps service as the foundation for how I have managed my own world. Respect for the dignity of every individual person, understanding of the role that culture plays in every important arena of life, and the importance of living by a set of consistent values that allow one to sleep at night and get up every day, willing to engage in the work of improving life for everyone within our reach. I am grateful to the YWCA for its commitment to this annual recognition of women achievers. We so need to continue to advance women locally, nationally, and internationally. May all of our efforts continue to raise up the well-being, health, and success of the communities we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen, for sharing so much of yourself with us. We have a special guest joining us for our next introduction. Would you please welcome to the stage Alicia Glenn, who will introduce her mother, Jackie, our next honoree.
Ooh. Hey everybody, good afternoon. Okay, so when my mom told me I was actually gonna introduce her in front of like 600 people, I was like, what did you get me into? I was like, that literally sounds terrifying. So, and then I asked myself, you know, when is the next time my mom is gonna get honored again? And then I realized probably like next week, but however, you know, she doesn't get this many awards that are as grandiose as this and as meaningful, so this doesn't come around as often. My name is Alicia Glenn, and today I'm proud to introduce my mom, Jackie Glenn. She's the Global Chief Diversity Officer for EMC Corporation. And as a leader at EMC, she led the development of several different groundbreaking efforts, including the mandatory diversity inclusion curriculum, implementation of companies' transgender reassignment program, and the launch and execution of its high potential women's program. So it's amazing to see how much progress my mom has made at her company, since I currently work for Yelp, which is like a cool young tech company, and they just recently put a chief diversity officer in place, and that was just a couple months ago. So that made me realize how ahead of her time my mom really is. She truly embodies what it means to accept everyone in her personal and professional life, and I'm so glad to call her my mom and my inspiration. So without further ado, it is my distinct pleasure to honor and introduce a woman who has shaped me to be the woman you see in front of you today, my lovely mother, Jackie Glenn.
Tell her mother. Thank you, Lily. We call her Lily. Good afternoon. Come on, you ate. Okay, good. I am honored to receive this distinguished award and to become a member of the Academy of Women Achievers. I'm truly humbled and excited to join such phenomenal leaders. I want to recognize some special people who celebrate today's honor with me and serve as my ongoing inspiration. My husband, Windsor, who's right there. And of course, my daughter, Alicia, who we've just met. And my daughter, Nicole, who is an attorney for those of you who are attorney in the room and couldn't get a chance to be here with us today. She lives in New York, but I know she's right here in my heart with me. I'm also joined by my EMC family. Thank you for encouraging me to bring my authentic self to work every day. With your support, I am able to lead EMC journey in diversity and inclusion to new heights. Together, we're making our company a true leader and a benchmark in our industry for inclusion. My quest in life closely mirrors the mission of the YWCA: eliminate racism, empower women and all people of difference, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. I am the Chief Diversity Officer at EMC, building an infrastructure to promote and maintain an inclusive culture for more than 60,000 employees. But this is not just a job. Knocking down barriers and pursuing equality for all is intrinsically who I am. It is the core of my own value system for which I can always bring my full, authentic self to the table. Oprah Winfrey once said, "I had no idea that being my authentic self would have made me so rich." And while I am not rich in the same sense as Oprah, I am rich in my ability to be authentic. I use that authenticity to teach and enrich others with knowledge from my own career and leadership journeys. I believe you can be whatever you desire as long as you prepare and never lose sight of who you are. Finally, one of my role models, Maya Angelou, said, "When you learn, teach. When you give, when you get, give." The clear intent and demonstration of this mantra appears in the mission and programs at the YWCA Boston. Today, more than 47% of the workplace is female. That number is growing across all ethnicities. Soon, women will compose more than half of the workforce. The leaders of tomorrow will become more and more diverse. The minority majority will become a reality in our lifetime. It will be even more critical that we live Maya Angelou's word and lead with a compassion that breeds integrity and transparency. We can lead across every element of differences while we follow the 7 principles of servant leadership. Let me tell you how, and yes, you can take out your pens. I'm almost finished. S, remain selfless. E, demonstrate empathy. R, be resolute. V, practice virtue. A, elude authenticity. N, needful of new perspective. And T, thorough in your examination of all things. Ladies and gentlemen, these principles are the true sign of an enduring leader. Practice them, teach them, give them. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Authenticity is the key, and may I say the apple does not fall far from the tree, my dear. Thank you both. Our next honoree right now is Nancy Stager, the Executive Vice President of Human Resources and Charitable Giving at Eastern Bank. Her work in talent acquisition and management training and development and employee relations has helped to make Eastern Bank one of Boston Globe's top places to work. Nancy also oversees Eastern Bank's Charitable Foundation, which provides millions of dollars every single year to charitable organizations that serve Eastern Massachusetts. Please give a warm welcome to Nancy Stager.
Wow, look at this crowd. It's great to be here. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for joining with YWCA Boston. I have to admit that when I first heard that I was about to be inducted into the Academy of Women Achievers, I was a little concerned that someone had called the wrong number. I am very humbled, honestly humbled, to be counted in the exceptional company of the folks being inducted today. All of my fellow inductees, congratulations to each of you, especially to Helen Drinan, who has been a personal hero of mine for more than 20 years. So it makes me feel really good to be counted here. I'm also aware of the amazing women who've received this recognition in the past and feel very happy to be counted among them. I also want to take a moment just to thank my family who's here, my husband Jim, my son Brian, my daughter Allison, and my mom and dad who've come all the way from New York to be with us today. I also want to thank all the colleagues from Eastern Bank, you just heard from them a few seconds ago, as well as Beyond Eastern for all the support that they've given me over the years and the wonderful work that they each do individually. So thank you all for coming too. I've been asked to share some thoughts today about the advancement of women in the workplace, and obviously helping everyone, especially women, to achieve their full potential has been a passion of mine for 30 years. As you know, it's also been the focus of the YWCA, as it continues to be, as they lead young women and mature women to be empowered and to eliminate racism. And I encourage all of the folks here to participate in the Stand Against Racism next April, which they ably lead. RY is the oldest YWCA in the United States, founded in Boston in 1866. Though it sometimes feels like I've been working that long to advance women and diversity generally, I'm pleased to report that I have not been at it that long. I do, as I said, stand on the shoulders of those who've come before me, and that's how advancement works. So on to advancement. If you look at advancement, if you look it up on Google, you'll see that it's a very dynamic word, and you'll find equally dynamic words along with it, like to move forward, to progress, to increase in value, to go before. Interesting, you will also find the opposite, to move against, to oppose. Advancement in the workforce is both a push and a pull. It takes work, it takes energy to resist settling for the status quo. The advancement of anything really important is not a smooth process. It's never a quick trip from point A to point B. It's never a box that we tick off, never to have to revisit again. It requires an understanding of the long arc of history, both where we have been and where we are headed, as well as a healthy dose of impatience with the present. Advancement is born of that tension between the status quo and our future vision for what can be. How will we collectively advance the cause of women? It's in the determination of that future vision, your future vision, my future vision. Each of us gets an opportunity to decide what is truly important to us. How will you show up? What mark will you leave on the world? How will you move from someone should do something about this to this is what I'm doing about this? Much has been said and will be said about the demand side of the advancement of women, and it should be. Companies need more women on boards. They need more women in senior leadership. It's already been proven that companies are stronger in terms of their shareholder returns if they have more women in both the board and in leadership roles. We need more women to enter the STEM fields. And government policy needs to be more supportive of women who work. but I'd like to make it a little personal to all 600 plus here right now. I want to talk about the supply side of women ready to advance. You're going to hear a lot of great advice and a lot of personal stories today, and that's wonderful that everyone here should gather that up and take from that what is true for you. No one can set your course but you. And so I want to share what's true for me. There are 4 P's. I didn't have quite all those letters, so I went with 4 P's that have helped me to leverage that tension between the status quo and what I could see could be. So the first is be preparing. Notice I said preparing, not prepared. It may not be good English, but for those of you who know, but it is on purpose that I choose the word preparing. The point is that there is really no end state to preparation. Successful people are always evolving. Windows of opportunity open and close during your career, across your entire lifetime. Preparing means you are constantly honing your skills, knowledge, attributes, building your network, nourishing your health, your energy, your love, and most important, nurturing the confidence you will need to take advantage of opportunities as they come along. There are 2 important aspects here. First, if you anticipate what is needed and are aware of how things are changing around you, the mere fact that you're in a state of preparing will help you to notice the opportunities that are around you. Second, and this is for all the young women in the room, especially you, Allie. It's important to let go of the notion that we need to be fully prepared before we jump in. In my experience, life doesn't happen that way. Lots of women struggle with this. We want to make sure that we have it all buttoned down, that we have everything we need before we move forward. And I'll tell you, it is easy to miss the opportunities if we feel we need to be at that 100% mark. Others will jump in sooner. I say go for it. When you have most of it, don't wait for the 100%. Anybody see Amy Cuddy in TEDx? It's all over YouTube. If you haven't, you have a homework assignment. Go out, Google search it, look it up on YouTube, look at there's lots of great TEDx, so if you haven't seen them, you should go for it. Her comment is, fake it. Sometimes you hear fake it till you make it. That's really not good advice. But what she said, I'm in HR, I have to say that. So she says, fake it until you are it. And that really is good advice because it tells you don't have to wait till you're 100% there. You will learn, you will help others, others will help you. Take advantage of that. So that's preparing. The second P is passionate. Know what's important to you. Know what is in your heart and follow it. You'll need that energy that comes from your passion to be successful. This energy will sustain you through the rough times because the rough times will come, and good news, the rough times will go. Let that energy shine through. It will encourage others to seek you out and to follow you. And it's hard to be a leader if you have no followers. Third P is be principled. Kind of what some of the comments earlier were. Know what you will do, know what you won't do. Your voice matters. Don't be quiet. Be willing to use your voice. Have the conviction to stand in the gap. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by stand in the gap? We've all had this experience. It's the moment in time when you are facing a situation and in your heart of hearts, you know it's wrong, or you know something needs to happen. And you have the opportunity and the will to do something or to say something. and you do it. You carry it out. You can't stand in the gap if you don't know what you stand for and what you won't stand for. And the fourth P is pay it forward. No one fails alone, and we all do. No one recovers alone, and we all do. And no one succeeds alone, and we all must. Be willing to help others along the way, as someone has helped you. Wherever you are in your career, there are people who are willing to help you. Seek them out. And there are people who need your help. Be there for them. Be open to it. Let your compassion guide you as you to ways to give back. Is it always easy? Absolutely not. Is it always immediately fulfilling? I'd like to say it is, but not quite. But when you look back on the long arc, when you see where you are in your life, when I look back on the long arc of my personal history, I can tell you these 4 Ps have served me very well. So think about you as a member of the supply side for women who will lead in companies, in government, in nonprofits, and in the home. As a member of that supply side, for us to advance as women, each of us needs to be focused on advancing ourselves. Be preparing, passionate, principled, and willing to pay it forward. This is the supply side dynamic. This is how we will advance women in the future. Thank you all.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next inductee is Sandra Urie, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Cambridge Associates. Sandra was previously a member of the faculty at Phillips Academy, Andover, where she taught Russian language and served on the admissions office staff. Privyet. Sandra was a member and vice chair of the Investors Committee of the U.S. President's Working Group on Financial Markets from 2007 to 2010. And she serves on a number of boards, including the Global Board of 100 Women in Hedge Funds, where she is the vice chair. Most recently, Sandra received the 2015 Investor Lifetime Achievement Award from Institutional Investor. Please give a warm welcome to Sandra Urie.
Hello, everyone. One of the problems with going last is you're going to hear a lot of things you've already heard before, and I was sitting there thinking, should I rewrite this talk or should I just have you hear it again? Because there's so much that my fellow honorees have said that resonates with me and that repeats some of the themes that I had put in my remarks for today. So I'd love to thank the YW Boston for this honor. It's a great honor, and it's great to be in the company of these terrific women. And I just want to point out, you should all take this insert out of your program, because this lists all the former inductees into the Academy. And honestly, it's humbling to be part of this wonderful group this year and part of the history of the Academy of Women Achievers. So take a look at the names and you'll see what I mean. We are an excellent company, ladies. So reflecting on this honor, and on my professional career, it's given me a chance to focus on what matters a lot to me in my leadership and in my commitment to the creation of a workplace environment that encourages women and men to be their best, to thrive. I have to say there really was no one epiphany, no one mentor, no one role model. It really is a combination of experiences and a combination of interactions that occur over one's lifetime that gets you to the point where you are standing up here being honored in this wonderful way. But several themes stand out, 2 themes in particular: role models and mentors, and organizational mission and culture. So who were my original role models and mentors? Well, I think for most of us it probably was our parents, and my parents were no exception, but I'd like to add my sisters to the group too. my biological sisters. I have a lot of other sisters, but my biological sisters. I grew up in the company of women. We were 4 girls along with my parents. And in fact, one of my sisters is here today with her husband and my nephew. My parents were the first feminists I ever knew. I didn't know that term in the 50s, but they really were. And I often wondered if it was out of necessity or out of belief. I think it probably was a little bit of both. But what they taught us and what they communicated to their 4 girls was a sense of the possible, a sense that there were no limits to what we could do, that we should not accept limits imposed by others, and really we should never impose limits on ourselves. And in addition to giving us that message, they were always cheering us along. And when we made mistakes, they were there to help us kind of revive from those and get back on the horse and keep riding. I never rode, but that expression is one that resonates. And I think my sisters and I continue to embrace this notion that there are no boundaries, this sense of the possible. And we try to communicate it to our children, and we continue to try to communicate it to each other when the going gets tough. It's an incredible gift to have grown up in the family that I have. Their love and support is extraordinary, and it has really been a great asset in my entire life. Second, I'd like to talk about Cambridge Associates. Liz mentioned Andover, which was a wonderful place to work, but Cambridge Associates, where I've been for 30 years, is just an exceptional firm. And I think it's unusual in the financial services industry. Just want to tell you, nearly 40% of our managing directors are women. This is unheard of in financial services. And it's not just because I'm the leader. I'm going to tell you a little story about that. But when I joined the firm in 1985, I suspected that I was joining a place that was already in the forefront of thinking about how to attract and retain not only men, but women in the financial services industry. The firm was founded in 1973, and our founders believed in the value of a diverse community, even way back then, 40 plus years ago. And they, not just how we look on the surface, but the value of cognitive diversity, which is, of course, what we all know comes with a diverse population. So I sensed that I was joining this place, and they really did deliver. I was a single mom of a 3-year-old, and, you know, maybe a little bit crazy at that time going into that environment, a lot of travel, a lot of challenges. But I just sensed that it was a place where they were going to allow me to do my best work at home and do my best work at the firm. And I'll tell you a story. In the early 90s, as I was taking on my role as Chief Operating Officer, I had a chance to talk to our 2 founders. We were stuck on a train between Boston and New York in a blizzard, and so we had a long time for a chat. And I asked them how they managed to create this firm that was populated with talented men and women, and where it seemed to be indifferent to gender. And they commented that in 1973, when they were founding the firm, that everybody was, all the financial services firms were hiring men. And they said it occurred to us that talent resides in the total population, and we really needed talent. We were starting a firm, and we wanted to fish in the whole pond for our talent, they said at first it was not so much the commitment to diversity as being pragmatic and looking for the most talented people, and why limit yourself to half the population? So they, right from the start, they had that, they believed that, and they also said if they could figure out how to attract, develop, and retain exceptional women, it would be a good place for the men too. And that has absolutely proven to be true. So I think about those words a lot. I've been CEO now for 15 years, and their words on that train ride to New York resonate with me all the time as I think about how do we create a firm and a community that nurtures talent, that attracts, develops, and retains it, and finds it wherever it may be, whomever it may be, and that we are open to that. And this means scaling that means being flexible, recognizing that people have different needs at different times in their life. So one of the ideas I've embraced is the notion of enabling people to have continuous careers. So if it means people going part-time because they have to at a certain stage of life, that's fine. Why would you train people over 4 or 5 years only to lose them when they come to a different point in their life, maybe the time when they're starting their family? Figure out how to give them a chance for a continuous career, and you retain the talent, and you build an awful lot of loyalty into that professional staff. But the tone has to come from the top. It has to come from the top. And I believe it came from the top in our firm and our two founders, and it continues to come from the top. But it can't only be at the top. Everybody has to embrace the culture. Everybody has to understand why it's so important to have the most talented workforce possible. And I would say that you can't be complacent about it. When it comes to that tone at the top, mission and culture, you cannot be complacent. It's not an option to be complacent about it. You have to pay attention to it every single day. I want to return to the theme of mentors, because I have another mentor, and actually some of my fellow honorees have another mentor, and it sounds to me like it's our daughters, and that they are great teachers to us. Raising a daughter, I have a wonderful daughter, Katie, who's now 32 years old. Raising a daughter absolutely focuses one squarely on the issues of women and how they develop their talents, pursue their passions, follow a path that leads to a fulfilling life. And I can think of little that has been as rewarding for me as being the mother to an exceptional young woman. I like to think I provide a good example to her, but she teaches me, and I think we always have to be open to where the teachers in our lives reside. But my message has been clear, and it echoes the messages I've heard from the women who've spoken to you earlier. Find your passion. Absolutely find your passion. Do what you love. Work hard at it. Typically, if you love something, you are absolutely willing to work hard at it, and when you're willing to work hard at something, typically you're pretty darn good at it. But don't limit yourself to that. Also, find a way to do something good in the world. I have the privilege of working at Cambridge Associates, where we work with 650 nonprofit institutions, so in my professional life, I have this opportunity to do something good in the world. But do something beyond just the paid part of what you do. Serve on boards, do community service, be part of the life of your community, because that is as fulfilling as having a great professional career and having a great family. And it's about the whole life that we lead. Be a role model and mentor to others. And here I'm going to use the phrase that we heard earlier, pay it forward. It's right here in my remarks, pay it forward. Think about the people who've been role models and mentors to you through your life, and understand how important it is for you to serve as a role model and mentor. Some of it's organic, some of it's intentional, but remember that others need the kind of guidance and help and support that all of us have enjoyed as we've traveled the journey to the positions we found ourselves in today. And I've had great role models and wonderful support from a multitude of sources. I like to think, I believe in servant leadership. I'm not going to go SERVANT, but servant leadership here is also on the page here. And I believe that those of us in leadership positions have an obligation, and I say that word advisedly, to create organizations and communities in which our service, our servant leadership, enables others to be their best and to do their best work. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my wonderful husband who's here today. He's been a great support, as so many of our spouses and family members are, and my two other sisters who couldn't be here today, and my daughter who sadly couldn't be here today. She's working in New York too, so it's hard. These girls and their jobs, but I'm proud, absolutely proud of what she's doing. So many thanks to YW Boston for what you do in our community and for 150 years of doing that. I'm going to give you a word that you're going to hear a lot next year. The YW Boston is going to be celebrating its sesquicentennial, 150 years of serving our community, and really challenging us to make this the best possible place that it can be, that Boston can be the best. Thank you to my family, my professional colleagues. Several of my professional colleagues from Cambridge Associates are here today, and my friends for all playing a role in defining how I think about leadership and for being great, 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 great partners on this journey. This recognition not only honors me, but it certainly honors all of you as well. Thank you.